What's up, everybody? It's this Henry Fleischer here from the Cannabis Dispatch, also the CBD Business Networking group on Facebook, and I have a very special guest today. I have Nathan Liberty. So, Nathan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me, Henry. I appreciate it. Well, my name is Nathan Liberty. I am the owner of Sweet Lude's Farm and of Terra Firma Cannabis. I right now I own a farm in St. Albans, Vermont. We also do a lot of consultation work with roughly, I think we're in about 12 different cannabis businesses right now that we represent and help move, different product lines and raw products, work with their farms, things of that nature. We are also this year, we finally are ready. We released our genetic line this year for CBD and CBG. We're trying to help that market a little bit. We noticed there was a lot of flooding going on, so we kind of got involved with that. And really just trying to work our way towards THC. In Vermont, we go live with a legal marketplace in about 9 to 10 months. So there's a lot of preparation for that right now, working with dispensaries and cultivators and different aspects like that.
Yeah, so what year did you begin in the CBD business?
Well, I've been a guerrilla grower most of my life. I started, I think, when I was 15. When we moved here to Vermont, which was in 2018, is when I really started getting involved. Like I said, we had purchased the farm here. We had about, I think it was like 7 tillable acres. And, at that point, I knew that I really wanted to be heavily involved with the Vermont cannabis industry. I just wasn't sure where to start. So I actually met up with Vermont Cannabis Solutions, Tim and Andrew of VCS. They're both attorneys here in the state that specialize in cannabis and networking people. And I asked them, I said, which direction should I be going right now? Should I be pursuing more THC or, hemp? And, their recommendation, because of just the way the climate was with THC at the time, was to, move forward with CBD and CBG. So with that being said, I ended up, buying something in the neighborhood of like 10,000 seeds. We planted as much as we could in our fields, and we had a great growing season. And then, of course, as everybody knows, the flood of 2019 hit, and things kind of took a strange turn. Where it got complicated for us. There was a mass amount of product across the country, so we had to get kind of creative with how we approach things from there. But yeah, it was around 2018 ish, I think, is when we really got going with everything CBD related anyway.
Oh, well, because you touched on it a little bit too, that you originally bought 10,000 seeds. Out of curiosity, how many of those were males?
Oh, geez. Thinking back, I would say we were probably 95% female. I would say there was probably 5% of that 10,000 that turned out hermaphroditic or male or, whatever the case. Luckily we were pretty hands-on. So we were fortunate where we would see these problems before it became a really big problem for our fields. And we pulled most of that before it became a major situation.
Oh yeah, is there a way to tell too if the seeds are female or male? Is there like
No, there really isn't. That's the problem with cannabis seeds, and as somebody that's now selling high-end CBD and CBD genetics, that question comes up a lot. There really isn't. There's really no way to determine from seed what you're getting. And that's really a problem for a lot of people. I see a lot of people nervous about buying from smaller craft farms like myself because, we're not as big as, say, something like the Crawford brothers out of Oregon CBD, or, someone like that that's pumped out billions of seeds into the country, with pretty decent track record. But there really is no trick to it beyond paying super close attention to your fields and your grow rooms and making sure, you're looking for pollen sacs and, making sure that you're pulling them as soon as you see them. And that's that.
Oh, okay, got it. What was that like aha moment where it's like, hey, I want to go into CBD? What was that?
Well, like I had said, I've been pursuing cannabis most of my life, and Vermont's market at the time, there wasn't a lot of people yet growing. With having the acreage I had, and walking around trying to figure out, man, should I be doing garlic? Should be doing saffron? And I'm like, you know what? I should be pursuing cannabis. And I never set out to be, a lot of people try to grow to make it big and rich and make all kinds of money. For me, it was about pursuing something that I loved so much and just always had a passion for, and now had this ability to do on this very large scale, legally, and with support of some fantastic people. And knowing I had that type of support, and knowing that I had the tools I had at my disposal, it was kind of like, for me anyway, it was a no-brainer that that's the direction I have to go. And then the more I got into it, and the more I saw that there was so much more to just growing CBD flower. There's this whole business side of things, and there's this whole representation side of things. And the more I got into it, the more I realized this is where I need to be. This is the industry I was meant to be involved with. So it wasn't, I guess, a singular moment of, oh, this is it. It was more of this gradual, okay, this makes sense to me. This is where I should.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, another thing too, what was the toughest thing you went through when you first opened up?
So there's always going to be a lot of things to deal with, and any large scale grower will tell you, there's a multitude of issues, whether it's parasites or pests, insects, whether it's bad weather. I mean, you're growing outside, Mother Nature can do anything at any point. And you would think a lot of those would probably be the worst, but I think for the worst part for me, but was also kind of the best too, was when I started realizing how flooded this industry truly was with CBD, hemp flower, etc. It caused me to have to evolve as not only as a business, but as a person. There was no one showing up at my farm with a truck saying, hey, I'll take it all at $500 a pound. It just doesn't exist. And I think that a lot of people were under that impression that's kind of how it works. You grow it, and then someone just magically shows up at your door with a bag of money and then takes it off your hands, which we all know isn't true. So when I had to be faced with these issues of having all this surplus flower that I was very proud of, that a lot of time it went into, I was forced into networking very much out of the state of Vermont and moving into all the way over to California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. I mean, anywhere I could actually contact someone that was either at a retail shop or was a wholesaler or whatever the situation was. It forced me out of my comfort zone and into these situations where I expanded my network across the country vastly. It led me to, now I have a partner, with what I do, not here on the farm. He actually lives in California. His name's Andrew Seagrave, and of AS Logistics. He and I partnered up when we realized that Andrew had this amazing network of buyers and wholesalers, and I had a surplus of flower, not just here, but with a lot of farms here that I knew of in Vermont. So Andrew and I started working together in that sense where, he helped me move my product, and then we started helping other farmers move that product. So what started as a really major problem that was super scary. I had no idea how I was going to move my product. And, I had a ton of money invested into it, became the situation where not only did I find a solution to moving that product, but I also was starting to form relationships with people and forming solutions for other farmers and other farms that were also in that same situation I was in. Andrew, I can't speak enough of him. He's been in this industry a long time. Being in California, he's had the THC market available to him, and he evolved into hemp as well. He really, really did a lot. And us as a team now is, we take on all kinds of things, whether it's helping people sell their product lines, our genetics now. It's just so much more than just raw product, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, what was a big problem became a fantastic opportunity.
Oh wow, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing too, like, is there anything you would do differently if you had to start from day one again?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that I would have gone probably smaller out of the gate. I think a lot of people when they first start, they think more is better. More product to sell equals more money, or they can expand faster, or whatever the case. It's in the contemporary climate of the cannabis market. The reality is that buyers are looking for quality over quantity. They want super clean, hand trimmed, really nice bouquet, really good, density and flavor to their smokable CBD flower and to their product lines, whether it's ointments or whatever the case. They want quality. It's very difficult to get that level of quality out of your flower when you're dealing with 20 acres, 10 acres, even 8 acres, and having minimal staff, which I don't, I can't speak for every farm in the country, but here in Vermont, there isn't a huge, amount of extra hands that most farms can access. You go out towards the west, you got a lot more of an element where you can bring on cheaper labor. Yeah, over here, it's not the case. So you have to kind of pick and choose your battles with quantities and what you're doing. Look, if you're growing for biomass for extraction, that's fantastic. Do what you do. But most farms are trying anyway to create a smokable flower product. It's a higher, price per pound. It's, it really puts more names on the maps, etc. To do that, either you have to have a very large crew behind you to support you, or you have to gear down your grow and really focus on, what you're doing, what you're creating, and finishing that product. It's more than just growing it. It's that XYZ factor at the end of hand trimming. You send it through a machine, that's great. Hand finish it. Make sure it's dried properly. Make sure it's curing properly. Those aspects will make and break you as a business. And yeah, so going back to your original question, I think my first year I really would have scaled back and put a heavier focus on less plants, more focus on making those plants into a very fine crafted plant. And that's really my feelings on that.
Yeah, I forgot there was a stat somewhere they're saying like, oh, like the big reason some businesses fail is because they overexpand too quickly.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's absolutely the case. I mean, I've seen it so many times. There's these farms that, and God bless them, if they can pull it off, that's fantastic. But I've seen so many farms say, you know what, we're not only going to grow it, we're going to process it. We're not only going to process it, we're going to slap labels on it and market it. Some have gotten away with it. Some can do it. I know a few of that have successfully followed that train of thought and made a go out of it. But I also know a lot that have taken on so much that there's just no way for them to really perfect one of the aspects they're doing, whether it's growing, processing, or marketing. It's about this industry more so than I think than most. It's about your network, and it's about working with people. It's about, if you're going to grow. If you've got the staff to handle processing and growing well and successfully, fantastic. Most don't. It's just the reality of it. Most growers or farmers are working with a minimal staff and with a minimal knowledge base of what steps they should take with not only processing but marketing. This is a business more so than anything. You need to market yourself. You need to successfully get into the hands of people that want your products. You need to market yourself as well as your flower. There's a lot of farmers I know that are incredibly introverted that just don't want anything to do with that part of things. But they also want to do it all. They don't want to pay. They don't trust anybody to take it on and process for them or do their marketing. Your battles. That's what it comes down to. Pick and choose your teams, know your network, and successfully implement through that. Do not try to take on more than you can handle at once. It's just start small, work your way big. And that's really the best way I've seen anyway so far.
oh, got it. I was out of curiosity too. There's actually a show on Viceland called Kings of Kush, and
Yep.
actually, you've watched it?
I have not. I've heard of it though. I have heard of it.
Because it's really interesting. Because you got to see like what it takes to like Anthony Sullivan, the OxyClean pitchman, got into the business, but
Well, he's here in Vermont.
Yeah, right in Vermont.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of. I'm like, oh,
yeah. I haven't seen his farm. I'm not sure, but again, here's somebody with probably some substantial money, going into the situation where, he can afford to bring on the proper help and, gear up, do things the right way. The average farmer doesn't have an extra 500 to a mil, laying around in funds to pursue stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, again, there's always going to be exceptions, right? There's always going to be people that can afford to do things that way, their own way, and be successful with it. But average guys like myself who, are starting with just a farm and some land, some seed, for me, it's about grow the best you can and then seek out the people that are going to help you move in that successful direction. And I don't mean go find a broker or, something like that. I mean, hey, there's some great brokers out there. I know a few of them personally, but just be careful too. So it's about knowing a trusted network. It's about pursuing what you're good at and what you know for a fact you can do well, and then take it from there.
Oh yeah, because like they actually too, that show covers like some issues they face too, like making sure all the crops get out of the ground before like the fall season, like the winter hits, like getting the right crews together because of all that crop. They're like, hey, we have a hiring problem, got to go hire more people.
Sure.
Even with the farmland too, it's like it's not like you can just plant the seeds on there like that. You got to dig for wells and then you make sure all the rocks are out there. So they have to
absolutely
excavation. It's just really interesting to see. Then they bought a warehouse too to like get all the dried plants over, store it.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's all part of it. It's that's one thing I do want to stress is it's more than just having land and seed. You got to germinate these. You got to have space to germinate. You don't want to just throw seed in your soil and walk away. It costs way too much money to do that. You want to guarantee that those seeds are going to take off on you and produce a plant. It's about having space to hang and dry and cure. And, there's a lot to it. It's farming. Let's face facts. It's not running a small garden or a small grow out of your closet or, even in your backyard. It's a full-on farming situation, and I think most people get that, but there's still a lot that are somewhat naive to the industry that just assume that if you got some land and seed, that's good enough. And unfortunately, it's not.
Oh, yeah, of course. What would you say, like, you covered a little bit about it, what would you say is the toughest thing about being in this business in 2021?
In 2020, well, COVID's been a problem, and again, COVID's been a problem for a lot of reasons across, any industries and et cetera. But if I had to say what, besides COVID, what the biggest situation would be, I think there's really two. I think the flooding of the same materials nationwide is a problem. We have one or two particular genetic companies that are putting out millions of seeds every season without the thought of what that actually does to the market. When you have everybody across the country growing the same genetics, when a buyer comes looking to purchase flower, it's very, very difficult to get what you need to make per pound on your hemp, because they have so many options to go to. And there's plenty of people out there that will borderline almost give it away just to get rid of the product. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of rough, I'm not, and by no means am I trying to take a crap here on Oregon CBD. They make a fantastic product. They've been around for years. The Crawford brothers are brilliant individuals by far, but their genetics are everywhere. And it's, and they're not the only ones, guilty of it. And when it comes time to sell this flower, a lot of these farms struggle. They have, they're up against literally millions of other people that grew the same genetics. And, it's a tough sell with a lot of wholesalers to get to the $2.50 a pound for your flower when they can just go down the street for the guy that grew 20,000 pounds of the same genetics and they're giving it away at $75 to $100 a pound. and that's kind of screwed the market a little bit. So yeah, I would say that's it. And then of course, knowing who to trust and informing your network for, I really recommend anybody in this industry have a solid network they can trust in place at all times, whether that be for processing, for sales, for marketing, for legal advice. I work with, beyond the representation aspect, I have probably 5 different businesses I refer to on a daily, whether it's for legal advice, whether it's for my, I sell a CBD hash. That's, what I grow for is to produce a hash. Green Mountain Hash of Vermont makes some of the best hash I've ever seen. And, I don't sit here and try to harvest and then make it myself. I refer to them and their expertise. And then, when it's time to sell, yeah, a big part. I'm a big part of that. But also, I have my partner Andrew, who I put more in charge of it because that's what he does. That's his day to day is connecting people that need to be connected for whether it's sales or whatever the case. So making sure you have that trusted network in place, I wouldn't say is a problem. It can be difficult to formulate early on. It takes time to develop that trust with those businesses and to work with them on a professional level on a daily basis, but it's crucial. So it's a bit of a struggle, I think, for most people getting going or maybe in their second year. And so, yeah, between that and, like I said, the oversaturation of the same genetics, which, as I mentioned, we're trying to, offer solutions for. We have 6 genetics we're offering this year and 50,000 of each, and that's it. We're done. We could have done 100,000 or 200,000 of each, but we're not trying to flood our market. What we're trying to do is offer people rare cultivars that rarely anybody's grown or seen. Lemon Kush, Peach Mint Kush, Ruby Kush, Sour Tangy, Sour Lemon Head OG, Cali Kush. All these CBD and CBG genetics that, we know as people that work with buyers, our buyers are going to be interested in. But at the same time, we sell these seeds to people. We know that we can turn to them when our buyers come knocking saying, hey, we're looking for these genetics. They, no problem. We know exactly who we sold these genetics to this year. We call them and we try to work with the people that we developed that relationship with when they bought those seeds from us. And then on top of that, by limiting our numbers to 50,000, we're really limiting, how much is out there in the country. It's going to be like 3 or 4 states maybe that you can turn to and really find a decent amount of what we have put into play because we want it that way. We don't want the entire country growing thousands of pounds of it. What good is that going to do anybody? That's just the same situation we're in now. So this is our attempt at a small, we're not saying we're going to correct the entire hemp problem, but it's a small attempt at finding a solution to this oversaturated market and helping people not only develop these cultivars, but to help them try to sell it when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And if somebody had to choose between your business and 3 others just like yours, why would you suggest they try you first?
Well, we are incredibly passionate about what we do. We have a very long record of success with not only our own business, but by helping other businesses. We're not strictly out for ourselves. We're out here because we love this industry. We love the people we meet in this industry every day. And we're about winning together, not winning as a solo unit. Beyond that, we have basically lived every situation and problem you can come across in this industry. And we've successfully navigated our way either through it or around it or whatever the case. And we're still here to talk about it. Places close every day and it's an unfortunate part of this industry, but that's just the facts. We're on like almost year 4 here and, we're still breathing and we're thriving and we're moving into THC space soon. We're moving into bigger and better climates every day. And we're really proud of that. But at the same time, we're not growing at this rate where small farms don't matter or the small businesses don't matter. They matter very much. In fact, they matter more to us than the really big ones. Those are the people we want to be there for and help navigate through the storms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And what's the number one way you guys currently get new customers or clients?
So we do a lot of networking. We do a lot of I don't want to give away too much here, but we do work with quite a few people already from state to state. A big part of that is through social media marketing, through word of mouth. Word of mouth has probably been our biggest advocate since we've gotten involved. Every time you successfully help a farm sell their product or their product line, or you help them, overcome an obstacle, they go tell 10 other farms about it, or 5 other, or even 2 or 3. And every time that happens, you have this, you have a group of people that will approach you and you start all over with them. And then it happens again. They start telling more people. So we have this opportunity to work in all these different states and different regions. And we've been very blessed and lucky that we've been able to network with the amount of people we have through really word of mouth and just doing what we say we're going to do. Because unfortunately, that's another bad part of this industry. There's a lot of people out there make these huge claims, but have zero follow through. They're really just out for the dollar or themselves. And like any industry, you're going to have the bad apples. And we've been really lucky. We put our heads down, we do what we say we're going to do, and people have really been accepting of that and really given us the benefit of the doubt moving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's some farmers who are sitting on crops from 2019 because of some people who didn't follow through. It's crazy.
Yeah. In fact, I'm dealing with somebody right now that had signed on with a broker, I guess you'll call them.
Yep.
Charged them, I think it was something like $10,000 up front to represent their flower. Which, by the way, I want to say that real quick. We never charge anybody for representation. We make our money and we successfully sell your product to the buyer. And the buyer's the one that's actually paying our fees. The people we represent never pay us a dime. We will never go to someone and say, yeah, we'll represent your product. They'll give us a retainer. Now, that's for sales. There's plenty of consultation work we do too for farms where, yeah, we do have a retainer fee, but that's what it is. You're calling us for advice on a day-to-day. That's how, we make our money with that. But in regards to brokering, which is kind of a dirty word in this industry, and one I really don't even like to use for ourselves, it's a damn shame that there has been so many, well, let's face it, crooks and thieves that have really taken advantage of newer businesses, newer farms that were a bit naive in the assumption that these people were going to follow through and do what they said they were going to do. And like I said, the one I'm dealing with right now, $10,000 gone. They still have all their flour just hanging in the barn, rotting away. It's never going to be touched. Nothing can really be done with it at this point. It's so old, it's hotter than hell. And this guy's could care less. And they're pretty much out that money and hurting because of it. They'll probably never be able to grow that crop again because of that situation. So it's about choosing your allies carefully. Vet the people that you want representing you. We provide lists of satisfied customers for people to follow up on us. We want you to do your due diligence when it comes time to talking to us about whether it's genetics or whether it's representing your product line.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's a great way too of doing it, having a list of recommended.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of talked a little bit on how you use social media marketing. So what role has the internet played in your growth?
In which way did it help my growth?
Yeah.
Well, my first year involved, I kind of mentioned to you before we kind of went live that I'm involved with comic book stuff too, as a side business. My partners are incredibly brilliant guys in that their education was all in e-commerce and coding and programming and et cetera, et cetera. So I had this huge advantage of having these guys, these very educated, men, especially when it comes to, internet and marketing and such, where I could just bounce whatever question I had off of them and ask them what works, what doesn't. And, it really was a big benefit to me, not so much the first year, but moving forward with all the other things we ended up taking on. I knew exactly how to handle it because of my success with these guys and having access to their big, beautiful brains in regards to, hey, how do I pursue this marketing thing on social? What do you recommend I do? And through trial and error, through whether it's marketing on, social media platforms like Facebook and, like your group that, I'm fortunate enough to be a part of, or this interview, or, just ads that we create ourselves. Right now we're circulating our terra firma ads for our genetics, and as many, social media platforms that will have us. And a big part of our sales has come from just people just being curious, saying, hey, what do you got going on? What's this all about? Let's talk. And a lot of times that's how it all starts. It's just a conversation from someone just looking in on your post and saying, hey, this is kind of interesting. I'd like to know more. And social media has really been a big part of that success for us. We also have a website, which I'm just going to hold up here if you can see that. It's Satori Seeds, Seeds of Satori.com. That's also been a big tool for us. Don't get me wrong, websites are a dime a dozen. It's kind of like dropping a grain of sand into the ocean these days. But having something on the internet you can point to and say, hey, go check this out. Our genetics are right there. You can look at, different services we offer. You can look at all these different things. If you have questions, follow up. So having this tool to point to and direct people to on the internet has also been, a big part of how, our success and all that. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. In 6 months to a year down the line, where would you like to see the businesses?
So 6 to 9 months. In
fact, a year.
Oh, 2 years. So, well, like I said, we're transitioning into THC as well here in about a year. We want to have a brick and mortar business where, Vermonters and New Englanders and anybody really can come and purchase THC seeds from us. There will be a great variety. They can come talk shop. We can give advice, and just and discuss, what problems people are having, and CBD and CBG genetics too, not just THC. I want to very much continue working with the people we're working with now. Tim and Andrew of Vermont Cannabis Solutions. There's Satori that's got some great things going on. They got a major facility they're looking to build. It's got 117,000 square feet of all indoor grown, beautiful product. We want to continue working with people and, not just on the growing side and not just on the sales side, but in educating people about the benefits of cannabis and showing people that this isn't some scary drug. This isn't something, that's you should be afraid of. This is something you should be embracing. And I'd really like to see more of those opportunities to educate people more in a year's time. I would love to be able to, do different types of speaking engagements and things like that. I currently have done a couple, through, different entities that I'm involved with. And I always get this really good reaction from people. And I always feel good that I've been able to impart some knowledge onto people that maybe they didn't have previously. Beyond that, I'm not looking to be rich. I have 4 kids and my wife, and we own our farm. And as long as I can keep the lights on and food on the table with this industry I love so very much, that's all that matters to me at the end of the day. And that's what I hope in a year to 10 years time I'm still doing. And yeah, that's pretty much where I see things, or I hope to see things anyway.
Oh yeah. On another note too, like which industry do you see is going to have the biggest positive impact from cannabis or hemp in general?
That's a great question. I think there's going to be a couple that are really going to benefit. What we're going to see, you're going to start seeing once federally we break this barrier down, and we start seeing a more mainstream approach to cannabis, it's going to get commercial. It's, whether it's Coca-Cola with now CBD, or, I don't know. There's a lot. I do see the food and beverage business really embracing it substantially. The medical field, I hope, is really where I hope to see more embracing from doctors and health practitioners and nutritionists and people of that nature, psychologists. A little something I kind of want to share on that part of things is I am a grateful recovering addict. I've been clean now for about 8 years, but before that, I wasn't. I was an opiate addict. I'd hurt myself pretty bad, and I became pretty addicted to pills, and then worse from there. Thankfully, I got my act together, and I cleaned up things, and I found cannabis to be a huge benefit to keeping my sanity, to managing the pain that I lived with and still do to this day, and for helping me sleep. And I can honestly say that besides cannabis, I have been completely clean of that nonsense for 8 years. So to see the addiction part of healthcare, or the mental health aspects of healthcare, embrace cannabis and use it as a tool for people that have these illnesses of addiction and other problems as well, whether it be pain or insomnia or whatever the case. It's a blessing, and it's an all natural way to deal with these problems. It doesn't lead to pain pill addiction, or God forbid anything worse than that. And those are really the two main industries I see. But like I said, once it gets commercialized, which is really inevitable, I feel at this point, you're going to see a lot of industries really embrace it, and who will come out on top with it, it's really hard to say.
Oh yeah, I think one industry that'll be pretty interesting to watch is construction.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah,
because like sure. Lumber prices are really high, so I wonder if that's
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, textile hemp is absolutely. We're seeing it right now. It's was that hempcrete? Hempcrete is very inexpensive to make. It actually is more fire resistant. It's insect resistant. It's this reusable form of building material that we can access on a massive level. We put the right fields into play with textile. The sky's the limit. And I don't mean just hempcrete. I'm talking everything from plastics to paper to really anything that we really need to start looking at as, we need a more reliable and renewable source.
Yeah.
Hemp's a hell of a lot easier to grow than a forest, So.
Oh, yeah. Even like hemp plastic, biodegradable too. If you
Absolutely.
Put it in the ocean, it's much better for the.
So much better. So much better. It's a no-brainer, right? For you and I, we're sitting here having this conversation, and my question has always been, why aren't people that make these decisions, these companies that own, and I know it comes down to the almighty dollar, but someone at some point is going to have to make this decision and say, you know what, dollars be damned, let's take on this hemp and leave our mark on becoming a greener, more sustainable, healthier planet. I really hope we see that sooner than later, because it's important that the world starts going that direction, I feel.
Yeah, even to have a house made from all hemp materials, that would be the dream home.
God, I'd love that. I mean, honestly, it's like a dream of mine to be able to obtain something like that one day.
Yeah, definitely. Like, to not have like as many insects in there too. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and about another thing too, it's like hemp can be made into fuel too. I think it's more powerful than regular fuel also.
There's so many things. I mean, it's really there's more being discovered every day. We're not even talking just like 4 or 5 things. We're probably talking in the number of hundreds of different applications, and once and a big problem too, I do want to point out isn't the availability of the textile hemp, it's the availability of process. This country has, I think, literally 1, maybe 2 major facilities that can, from start to finish, create whatever product is necessary from the textile, product. And that's the problem we need to address. We need more processing. We need more people that can stand up and say, you know what, we can do this. We just need the right machines in place and get it done. And once that happens, like you and I are saying, the sky's the limit with what can be obtained.
Yeah, I think I touched on this before in other interviews as well, but like there's a lot of cities in America where they were relying on like steel and other industries.
Oh yeah.
And once those cities became run down, there are a lot of abandoned houses and buildings. They should convert those into cannabis cultivation or even processing. It would bring jobs back to those economies.
Absolutely. It just takes someone with some money and a vision and the right team to come in and turn those places into a viable place that they can employ the community at and create these solutions to these problems. The reality is the tools are here. We have the resources to go this way. It just takes the right people that can make these decisions and make the sacrifice to their bank accounts to make it work. I would love nothing more to work towards that with somebody. If it was financially viable for our business to approach, and maybe it will be someday, because and let me tell you, if it does become available to us, that will be the first thing we pursue is textiles. It's the future, bottom line.
Yeah. I know, yeah, because like hemp clothing lasts longer than cotton.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Even if the paper material is really good too. I mean, our country's independence was written on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. It's like I said, it's obviously there. I don't think there's very many people that aren't aware of the benefits that can be brought to the table with hemp, but it's just a matter of implication at this time.
I know I posted an article on the group, I think the other day. It was like $92 billion were added to the economy from hemp. Just imagine, once it's a legal market, it's going to go up even more.
Oh, crazy. And we see it everywhere. Look at Colorado. I think the last statistic I read was, first of all, they're doing great things. I just want to point out Colorado's doing it right. Their schools have never been better. There's so much money going into the education system from cannabis that it's unreal. And I think that I read somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 to 37, I can't remember, percent of revenue from cannabis came from out of state for Colorado. And we're seeing, these states that are doing a proper, cannabis market thriving with their economy in a lot of ways, whether it's through employment, whether it's through taxation and having a bigger budget to do things for, the areas these places exist in. It's been a big benefit. And again, we're dealing with sort of a archaic system and government in place that's still dragging its feet on the legality aspect, but the benefits are so obvious. It's all right there. And anybody in this industry knows this. It's just a matter of getting somebody in our political system that has this vision and gets it done. And hopefully that happens soon.
Oh yeah, it's looking like it's going to happen within a few years, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh yeah, the tourism industry too is another industry that will be affected in a positive way because people visit places to like see cannabis fields or even other.
Oh yeah. Well, we get it now here in Vermont. I mean, Vermont's already kind of one of those states you kind of go on vacation to, whether it's a ski trip or, sightseeing or whatever the case. But I can't tell you how many people stop just to look at my fields, in the middle of summer going toward fall. It's people enjoy that. They want to see it. They want to see what it looks like. And it does, I think, add, a lot of tourism dollars to the state's economy.
Yeah, it reminds me of when people go visit vineyards.
Oh yeah, same thing. Yeah. Same exact thing, man. For sure.
Yeah. Even too, I think there'll be more. I think there's gonna be more restaurants out there that are gonna be like, all our products are infused with CBD or THC, whatever that comes about too.
Yep. Giving that option at least, where right now there's a lot of water-based or water-soluble CBD products. There's edibles that are being infused with not THC, CBD, CBG, CBC, CBN, whatever the case. And having those options for people are just going to do nothing but benefit your clientele and, you know, the revenue coming into your business.
The one thing too on the food market, there, a lot of the products are like on the sweet side. I would love to see more on the savory and gourmet side.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's, you know, because cannabis is always, you know, starting with the almighty, you know, cannabis brownie. You know, it's always kind of been related to sweets for some reason, you know. But what we're seeing, and I think Netflix has it now, is, you know, there's real chefs. I mean, you know, traditionally trained chefs that are now working with cannabis on a very serious level, whether it's through, like you're saying, savory dishes or baking, you know, whether it's breads or whatever the case. It's becoming a more well-rounded, you know, and more accepted additive to, you know, nutrition, you know, all over. So I think moving forward, you're only going to see that evolve into bigger and better.
Yeah, even like hot, like different sauces, like a hot sauce, tomato.
Oh yeah, anything really. Yeah.
Oh, syrup.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Honey.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, what's one food you would most like to see infused with the?
Oh, let me think. You know, if I had to pick something, I would really like to see some THC infused fish tacos at some point. I mean, that's like my thing, is some fish tacos. But yeah, if I could somehow fit my cannabis into there, I'd be thrilled. I mean, that would really be it for me.
Yeah, curious to where the cannabis would go. Would it be the tortilla or?
Yeah, well, most likely through like any kind of sauce that's added to that. I would assume that's where that would fit in, you know. But who knows? I mean, there's a lot of creative people in that industry. I'm sure they'd find many unique ways to infuse, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I think, because I want to have my steak grilled somehow with cannabis in there.
Sure. Well, maybe through the butter they're glazing the steaks with, you know,
or marinating,
or marinating with. You know, there's like I said, there's a lot of different methods that can be implemented doing this. So
even like pizza too, they can put the tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Or
for sure.
The topping.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or what's another thing? Oh, I was gonna say, pasta would be the sauce. That would be another thing too.
Or even the pasta itself. Who knows? You know.
Yeah, I wonder how that. Oh, that'd be interesting. I guess some of the process, like, you know, like they make fresh pasta, they could probably put the oil into the actual flour.
Who knows, man? Like I said, or maybe they make a flour out of it. It's been decarbed, you know, and that's, you know, that's part of it. Who knows, you know?
Yeah. Oh, so you think you can make flour derived from hemp? That'll be interesting.
Possible, or at least infusing some flour with, you know, a decarbed version of that. But yeah, I mean, I've never really sat down and pursued looking into that, but I'm sure it's possible. You know, anything really is these days.
Yeah, because I mean, we got like almond flour and I'm trying to think what other kinds of flour, but like that's
corn flour, wheat flour. Yeah. There's all kinds of different versions, you know. But yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility for sure.
Yep. And what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about entering the space?
So my advice for anybody that's maybe thinking about getting into either growing hemp or cannabis of any kind is understand your market. Who are you selling this product to? Okay. Network before you plant. Form a team. Understand what you're setting out to do. Don't just grow to grow. I mean, if you're going to do that, just do 2 or 3 plants and you know, enjoy them yourself. If you're looking to enter this space as a legitimate business, you need to plan it like a legitimate business. Nobody just ups and starts a restaurant without putting into consideration what's on the menu. Who is this menu geared towards? How are we going to market our place? These are the questions that need to be asked of any business, especially in this industry. And, you know, once you've come up with those solutions, you have to figure out what you're going to be doing, you know, long term. What does your growth look like? Are you keeping proper books and records? You know, making sure you're working with quality products. That's a big one. That's probably the biggest.
Yep.
You don't want to be caught using inferior seed or clones and walking into a harvest that's just complete garbage. And then you're left with, you know, the people you promised product to or services to and say, well, sorry, you're going to have to wait another year. until I can grow better stuff, because the stuff I grew just didn't work out. So making sure you have that in line, making sure you have, your business plan in place, having some legal advice. I'm not saying go put an attorney on retainer right away, but having someone that's versed in cannabis law, at your disposal is incredibly important. I'm very grateful for the people I have and use, and have actually become very good friends with over time. Without them, I've navigated some, bad situations that I was just not aware of, and those are the big ones to start with. There's always going to be a million other things to be cautious of or to pay attention to. But as far as just starting out, those are the big ones. Those are the ones you really need to watch for.
Mm-hmm. And how could somebody get hold of you as well, too? What's the best way they can contact you?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of ways to get a hold of me, actually. Again, our website is seedsofsatori.com. You can also contact me, Nathan Liberty. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram under Sweet Lou's Farm. I'm on LinkedIn under Terra Firma Cannabis. My phone number is a big one. I give that out constantly. It's my business line. It's 802-309-5549. And my email is terrafirmacannabis@gmail.com.
Oh, awesome. It was great having you on. If there's anything else, like you want to announce any new product lines or anything else, you're more than welcome to be on as a current guest.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. It was a pleasure meeting you and being able to have this opportunity to speak on cannabis, which I very much love and appreciate. As far as future plans, we have a lot in the works, whether through representation or our own making. All I can say is that I will be releasing, new information as we get closer to these goals that we're setting. And if people really want to know more about anything in this industry, I spend hours a day talking on the phone with people, giving advice, helping them through their problems. And I love that. Get a hold of me. I'm not going to charge you for having a conversation. That's not how things work. And it shouldn't be that way in this industry at all. So all I can say is that I hope to meet more people that see this. And I really look forward to working with new people moving forward. And again, appreciate your time and allowing me the time to speak today.
Yeah, you're welcome. So definitely have a great day.
Thank you, pal. We'll talk soon. Take care.